So the environment, or more specifically global warming, is another big factor in this election. So with the two major parties, they've got different emissions targets and renewable energy targets that they want to reach, and they've both got different ways of reaching those targets. The coalition's target is to cut emissions by 26 to 28% by 2030, and to have all electricity have 20% of it come from renewable energy by 2020. Now they plan to hit this target by what they call the Direct Action Plan. Now they have set aside $2.55 billion to give to big corporates on projects that help them achieve these carbon emission reduction targets. Now Labor's target is to reduce emissions by 45% by 2050 and to have 50% of all electricity through renewable energy by 2030. Now Labor plan to have two emission trading schemes, one for electricity companies and one for big industry. And they have stated that they don't think this will have a large impact on the cost of goods. The issue with these policies is, one, I've got no idea how all this stuff works. And number two, these targets are so far away. Now my position is global warming is a massive threat to our current way of living and we need to do something about it. But like myself, and I'm sure 99.99% of all Australians, we have no idea if either policy will actually make an impact. So let's say the coalition win and we don't hit our emission reduction targets by 2030. Do we then point the finger back at Malcolm Turnbull and say, well, we haven't hit the targets, it's your fault? Well, no, he's just going to blame successive governments and say, well, they've changed legislation or they've changed policy and that's why we didn't hit the targets. Or if Labor win government and by 2050 we haven't hit our reduction targets of reducing by 45%, do we then look at Bill Shorten? Well, no, we barely have any time to look back last week and keep anyone accountable. So how are we going to look back 35 years to keep someone accountable? Again, I have no idea how greenhouse gas emissions are tracked, but we shouldn't have these lofty targets of 35 years time. We should have targets of 1, 2, 3 years time. So when we go to the polls, we can actually judge if they're hitting their targets or not.